Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Bumping, catch me creeping through the cut. Fire burning from my dust, smoking now I pull it up. I won't stop, so don't confront too much about to be a grunt. Watch my back and off the front, you drop it off, I pick it up. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts, I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts, I'm waiting on the money drop. Running, jumping, music bumping, catch me creeping through the cut. Bust it, trying to stop my son. All time say I'm dangerous. Nervousness from within you, cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts, I'm waiting on the money drop. Running, jumping, music bumping, catch me creeping through the cut. Bust it, trying to stop my son. All time say I'm dangerous. Nervousness from within you, cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts, I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts, I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like
we will get through the uncertainty of a new administration in Washington. As I said, we've done this before. We've been to this. And
isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is
you condemn white supremacy. And he fuddled around, didn't say anything. I said, how about the Proud Boys? And he said, well,
Ronald Reagan was 2 months into his presidency when John Hinckley Jr. blew a $20 million
finally see something that said, take a look what happened.
I want to take this message to talk to your viewers real quick about the story and the conversation we need to have now. The BOP is wasting lots of tax dollars in frivolous spending, and
Yes, and we are live. I've got Enrique Tarrio co-hosting this show for a change, man. And yeah, we've got interesting guests.
We do have, and you know what I noticed before the show is I've followed Shane before, and like I went in to tag him, and it wasn't tagging him. Like, oh, that's weird. I go to his account, and it says, follow back, which is odd. People were saying that that's happening, but I've never really experienced it really until now because I do remember following him.
Yeah, I've heard about this. So, how's your day going, bro? What's going on? Every time I watch that intro, I get reminded of how fucking much I hate the left.
Yeah. I'm not going to go over what my day was, but yeah, I've had an interesting day. I've had an interesting 2 days. So, but for the most part, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's hot as fuck in South Florida.
Bro, it's not even fucking August yet.
Yeah, it's hot at night. Like you go out at night, it's sticky, it's muggy, it's wild. Which raises people's anger. It raises my anger. But then, like you said, I see your intro there, and like it reminds you of how the timeline rolls from 2016 moving forward. And now we have all these like it activated a lot of people. Which is why like we have so many people that we could interview because there's so many people that this culture has created. So
yeah, and so I followed Shane a while back on Facebook. I seen his I would get a lot of his post in my feed, and eventually I ended up following him, and I ended up liking this guy. It's pretty funny. I just like seeing people that are extremely committed to MAGA, extremely committed to trolling the left and clapping back on them. And this guy, he does all three of those things very well all the time. So I'm going to bring what I now dub as professional LibTard provocateur and MAGA meme maker, Shane Morgan. Welcome to the stage, brother. Good to have you. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here with you too. Honestly, the things that you guys went through was a nightmare, but you all stood strong.
I always say that it was we went through some shit. A lot of people went through some shit, but at the end of the day, it was worth it. Looking back at it, like all the suffering that J6ers and their families went through, and now it's kind of like we're vindicated. And like a whole bunch of things are coming out, the election's stolen,
Absolutely.
I don't want to forget about this fucking pipe bomber, bro. Like this guy is not the guy that did it, the one they have in custody. And it's just being swept under the rug, even more so than Ian Omar's fake assault with apple cider vinegar on herself. Like we've just fucking forgot that, Steve Baker comes out, launches this story. There's a 99% match on the way this bitch walks. We know she's now working in the CIA, and now all of a sudden they can't find any information. They have no cell phone data. All the metadata is just deleted. It's gone. Oh, but now we got a guy. It's fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah. It is.
So I'm going to kick off everything, guys. We're just three dudes shooting the shit. I'm going to get into the important stuff first, and let's just go with this. If you could fight one leftist political commentator or news anchor, someone in the media, who would it be? Shane, you go first. You can pass if you need time to think about it. We could put it on Enrique.
Yeah, because there's so many. I'll pass. Give it to Enrique for a second.
Enrique, go ahead.
I think the person that I would love to fucking throw a smackdown with, I'd love to be one of the cards in this White House UFC fight. I'd love to fight Fanone. We know that he never would have the balls to actually do that. We saw what he did just in public, let alone on a ring. And it's funny because on Facebook, you guys were talking about Facebook, and I have like a hidden Facebook that I use just like for family, and every once in a while I'll share something not to do with me because else they'll ban me. He comes up on my feed all the time. and I want to say something, but again, I don't want to get banned. And this guy is just like pure like Venom sounds cool, you know. He's pure Venom. It sounds cool. This guy's like he gives me pedo creeps, right? Like there's like somebody should check his phone, and that's maybe why I'd pick him to fight.
Yeah, I would go with Don Lemon because I mean, and I know it's an easy target, but the guy's such a piece of shit, and you know, after completion and plummeting his face into the ground, it's basically like 2 hate crimes because he's gay and black. So that's kind of funny.
Well, I mean, it's to no surprise that you want to hit a woman, Barry. Misogynist always. That's what they go for. That's the first thing they go for.
Hey, I never raised a hand to my woman. I will say.
And an angry black woman.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. That's giving him too much credit. I don't know if Don Lemon has that much testosterone to even be labeled a woman.
He definitely doesn't. You know, it's funny that you said that, Barry. That's exactly who I was going to pick.
Don Lemon, yeah. I was
Yes.
hoping Enrique didn't pick him, but I mean, he's low hanging fruit. I get it, low hanging fruit. But nonetheless, man, you know, God, I would love to smash that dude. What a Marxist piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit.
So if it couldn't be Don Lemon, who would it be, Shane?
Probably Nick Fuentes.
Yeah,
I don't care for that guy. I just
Enrique
don't.
does not like him either.
I do not like that motherfucker.
All right, hold up. Well, I actually do like Fuentes.
He's very articulate in how he talks and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he makes some valid points.
Yeah.
But when he started coming out saying that, you know, we need to vote Democrat, like, dude, you was grifting off of President Trump's coattail this whole time. You was at the J6 stuff, and nothing happened to you, but you two and many others got arrested. Why didn't anything happen to him?
Well, look, I want to be pretty clear here. Look, there's so much reasons, and look, I understand people that don't like Fuentes. He says some wild shit,
and he's got a face that just says
start
punch
with
me.
that. He's very articulate and very
Yes.
intelligent, and he's very entertaining. I recently saw, when was it? I think it came out yesterday, the day before, his interview with Crowder, which was very enlightening. And here's what we got to remember about Fuentes. He's never really been a Republican, right? He's been a right-winger, right? And he said he didn't vote for Trump. He didn't say he voted for Kamala in 2024. He's a one-lane guy. And I think, look, one-lane single-issue voters are a problem. But that's how they vote, you know, and that's his Israel shtick is how he votes. I respect it. I think it's honest as opposed to other people that actually, like, I don't think they believe in that shit. But, you know, he does bring a conversation to the table. But I do understand why Shane, and I have many friends of mine that don't like Fuentes. And I understand them. I understand why they don't like Fuentes. I personally, I like the guy. You got to give some entertainment with some news in there, you know. But yeah,
No, I get it.
yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about you, Shane. You blew up on social media, and that's not really your story. Your story is that you're an engineer. You for 12 years now. You were a father, a full-time father figure to your stepdaughter, who's like your real daughter. You raised her. Your wife is active duty military, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you struggled with addiction for a long time and you've been clean for quite a few years. And it was something that actually Donald Trump, our president himself, took knowledge of and wrote you a letter about your recovery. And so I want to start with that. What was that like for you? You've been very pro MAGA, and even in the beginning, you've supported Donald Trump since he came out the door swinging. And so what was that like for you in the beginning? You struggled with addiction. What was your life like starting there?
My life was a mess. You know, when he come down to Golden Escalators, as we all know, in 2015, you know, let me revert back a little bit. I really thought Obama was going to do something. I really did. And again, it was so obvious, real clear and quick that it wasn't going anywhere. And then when somebody that was willing to take on the establishment and take on the political class, like President Trump, I had to get on board with it. And everything that he said, he delivers on. He does it. It may take some time, it may, whatever, but I stand firm in that. And I'll never forget when he come down them golden escalators and announced his run for presidency. And something come over me, and I'll never forget that feeling. And I was in addiction when that happened. I was still drinking a fifth of Grey Goose every night
Right.
and still doing opiates, and it wasn't until 2019 that's when I actually hit such rock bottom that I had to reach out for help.
And so, what did that look like for you? Where did you get help? How did that start?
So that started, I had some friends from back in my town, and they had went through that situation, and got sober and stuff. And some of them went to prison for drug offenses and different things. And when they got home, they had changed their life. They bought into sober living houses. They invested in themselves. They got, but most importantly, they got away from that area of town. They moved northern Kentucky and got away from our town and was able to revamp their life. And they invested in themselves. They bought sober livings and became really a big thing in northern Kentucky. And that's how, and they would post about it all the time, trying to encourage people, if you need help, reach out. And I'm like, these are my friends. I've known these guys my whole life. And when I hit that rock bottom, living in a trap house, rats, roaches, crackheads everywhere, just a nightmare, meth. I knew that I wouldn't live much longer. I knew I wasn't. I could feel it. And I reached out to my two brothers, and they was there within an hour. They
That's
drove
awesome.
south and picked me up and put me in a sober living house immediately. And yeah,
So that was,
that's how this journey started.
and so the rest is history. You've been clean ever since.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And I want to talk about like Donald Trump and the war on drugs. Because here we have a president that came in 2016, and he's like a sober Joe. He doesn't drink. He doesn't, So
Correct.
you would have expected somebody like that to be like super like, not that he's pro drug, but somebody that wouldn't understand the plight of people that have like addiction problems, right? And he was very tough in the beginning, even now, but even in the beginning, he was very tough on like drug dealers. He's like, drug peddlers, they need to be shot, executed, right? And a lot of people wouldn't imagine all the things that he's done to combat, the drug addiction in the U.S. And starting with the pinnacle of that would be his actual war on drugs, war on the cartels, right? Because it's the source, right? But it doesn't end there. And I think at another stage in that war against this addiction, this thing that takes so many Americans' lives and livelihoods, he's granted clemency to a lot of people that deserved it, because there's a lot of people, and Barry's been through this. There's a lot of people in prison that they've had addiction problems, and that's why they're in there. And just putting them in a cage where there's
Yes.
synthetic drugs all over the place doesn't help these people. So I'm happy that he picked Mrs. Johnson as a pardon czar, and she's very focused on specific like drug charges and getting these people off the streets. So I think that is, and he signed the First Step Act, which the majority of people that apply for the First Step Act are people and drug users, right? And they've benefited off of that, because I've seen people die, and I've seen more people I've seen so many people die in prison because of synthetic drugs. So just because you're in prison, it doesn't make you and you have an addiction, oh, well, he'll be away from the drugs. No, it's the opposite. There's more dangerous drugs in prison.
Yeah, and when you can pay for a week's worth of shit for $20 worth of commissary, it's not really hard to obtain. It's
That is
everywhere.
correct.
I seen somebody die and when I was in FCI Miami, he was carried out in a stretcher. He didn't make it back, and it was off of something. He thought it was K2, but there was something else in it, and it fucking killed him.
Yeah. Fentanyl. Usually it's
Probably.
fentanyl.
Yeah.
It usually is
They won't tell
fentanyl.
you. They won't tell you. But
It's
yeah,
like
it
how
was-
they're doing with these imitation M stamped 30s.
Yeah.
They're not 30s. They're not Oxycontin anymore or oxycodone. They are fentanyl.
Yeah.
And they're stamping that pill with that M on it to give the illusion. You know, I lost 2 brothers to this. And they thought that that's what they was getting was the pharmaceutical blend. No, they wasn't. They got Mexico's version or China's version of heroin.
Yeah.
See, that's what pisses me off.
Yes.
Right. So we had one of the first brothers that we lost in the Proud Boys very early on. You know, he had an addiction problem. You know, and he went to get drugs. And when somebody goes to buy this, like there's people that do that go and buy fentanyl because they want to get fucked up on fentanyl. But this person didn't want to get fucked up on fentanyl. And he ends up overdosing on what he went to go purchase. And it was laced with fentanyl, and he died from fentanyl. And that is like, that's why I agree with the president when it comes to like these cartels and like the Chinese, because it comes from China. At the end, this is a foreign policy issue also, not just a domestic one. The ingredients to make this come from China, from mainland China. It lands in Mexico and it gets crossed over to our borders, and then it gets mixed in with these a lot of things, like you said, like these stamped pills that are meant to look like one thing. You know, if you're gonna go do drugs, you got a drug of choice, and it's not fentanyl.
Yeah.
And people
Correct.
are dying. Americans are dying over it.
Yes.
So, and that is an epidemic, and that is mass murder, right? More than any school shooting or anything. Not to compare. I'm just saying, like, this is a massive problem in America today.
We've all heard it a bunch of times, and it doesn't negate the fact that it's 100% true. If ISIS had killed over 100,000 people, we would have a serious problem. And it is China. They're fentanyl's killed more than 100,000 people. So I mean, it's the cartel death toll it far exceeds ISIS's. And what I would say is that back to Enrique, which you appropriately pointed out, it's not China's doing this by design. They have their death by 1,000 cuts planned for us, and that's just one of the 1,000 cuts that they're trying to do to weaken our system. They're at war with us, and they're trying to do it without firing a single shot. And that's exactly what it looks like.
Correct.
And we have our fucking politicians, both Republicans and Democrats, that have for a long time systematically allowed China to irk their way in and plant tentacles every fucking where. I mean, how are we in a world, in a country where we actually have China buying farmland near our military installations? How is this
Unbelievable,
allowed
isn't
to
it?
fucking happen?
Yeah.
How did we drop the
Unbelievable.
ball that bad?
We have the president currently with Xi Jinping over the
I'm
Yes.
worried about that.
like he's laying down the law, right? Because he knows what the competition is. China has always been one of Trump's targets for, it starts with the trade, and then things like that. It like goes down. I saw have you guys gotten a chance to look at the Joe Rogan interview with Kash Patel?
No.
I seen some little snippets of it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it.
So look, I'm not a huge Kash Patel fan. Not huge, but I give credit where credit is due. And he explains that situation with the fentanyl coming from China and how the FBI is currently targeting. And they've done quite an effective job of at least lowering the amount of fentanyl and making it so much more difficult to get to Mexico, as is. They've targeted foreign nationals. They've targeted pharma companies. They've targeted the Mexican cartels, things like that. So look, I give credit where credit is due, and I think when it comes to the numbers that Kash Patel is putting out, I'm happy about them.
Yeah. Well, it turns
Second
out
round-
closing the fucking border helps a lot.
Yeah, that's
It
true,
absolutely does.
too.
So Shane, your account blows up on social media. You start getting massive amounts of followers. What happens to you then? Like, you definitely share something that we have something in common, something I know for a fact Mr. Tarrio shares in common. You have a passion for triggering the left. They deserve it. They ask for it and they fucking deserve it. So your account blows up, and so what happens? How does that actually happen? And explain that to me.
So my page for many years, I always have, this is my personal account. This is not like a business account. It's nothing like that. I've had it since 2009. And usually I would just post memes and different stuff. But like I said, at 2015, everything changed. It was more funny stuff, more attacking the liberals and all that, and President Trump news, etc. And it wasn't until the last maybe 18 months back that it just went crazy. I mean, I remember, I think I had like 5,000 followers and 5,000 friends. And in that time frame, I've grown to almost 89,000 followers.
Right.
And I attribute that to, because I share my story, I share myself, I'm authentic, I'm not fake, Everybody can go to any one of these pages and watch funny stuff or listen to funny memes. They can get that anywhere. But when you're authentic with your followers, they're going to tell their friends, they're going to share it with their family. And then the next thing you know, it just blows up because they know you're not fake. Because people are tired of fake people. They're tired of liberals. They're tired of Democrats because all they fucking do is lie.
That's a fact. So I'm going to ask you a funny question. Have you got any death threats?
I have had a couple. Like, you are going to die.
Yeah.
And so, and they'll leave it at just that. And I'll respond back to them like, man, you really seem like somebody I could be a friend with. Can we be friends? Can we hang out? Fuck with them, troll them back, because, man, the hell I've lived in my life, man, these fuckers can't match it. You know what I mean? So it don't bother me. It's part of the game. It's what it is.
So you've been married for how long?
I'm not married. We're not married.
Not married.
No.
So, but you've been together for a long time.
Correct.
And she's active duty military. I know when we were speaking on the phone, there's a possibility that she could be deployed.
Yes, and this will be her first deployment, and I believe it will be stateside.
Okay.
It'll be more on the border type of situation from what she's gathering.
So she shows she is going to be deployed.
That she already had to get her what do they call that? Just slipped my mind. Their military travel permit or their ID or whatever it is. Yeah, she just had that done. So yeah.
Okay. So
where the real war is at, like the real war in the United
States
is at the border.
You're exactly right.
So that's a battlefield super worth fighting for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, yeah, definitely a shout out to her and thank her for her service.
Absolutely.
So you're an engineer. You've overcome addiction. You're a father to a wonderful young girl. Clearly, this is white privilege. That's clearly what this is. If it wasn't for the fact that you were white, you probably never would have beat addiction or had it to begin with. So
correct.
That's,
yes.
Good job on that. So
thank you.
How does the company you work for, have they ever tried to dox you? Do you ever feel at risk about that? Because you obviously don't care. You share everything about yourself, and so how does that work?
I have been fortunate. It's a family-owned company, and in the management levels and everything like that, which I'm a part of. They all think like me. I'm just one that's brave enough to put it out there and say it.
Right.
So
they support you.
Correct.
Awesome. That's good.
Yes.
We need to hear more stories like that, because too often conservatives are terminated for their views, especially if they're brazen enough to have the audacity to share them on social media.
Damn right.
It's ridiculous. Enrique.
Yeah, actually, not to cut you off, I
Go
actually
ahead.
was telling my sales manager today. She's our sales manager, and I was like, "Guess what? I got a little interview on a podcast with the Proud Boys tonight." She said, "No shit." Yeah, she was like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it's an
That's
honor, guys. I want you all to know that I
Honor,
truly mean that. Like this,
honor is
yeah.
mine. Honor is absolutely mine, man.
Yeah, see, I want to start sharing more stories like yours because there's this big narrative, that this force narrative, obviously Nazi, white supremacist, bigot,
Yes.
all those things didn't work. So now we're pedophiles and pedophile protectors. And it's funny because when I speak and I talk to my fellow MAGA-nites, they all seem to be in the realm of at least decent people that have jobs, create businesses, have good titles at their jobs, take care of their kids, work hard, love their family, have a family orient about them, and it's just weird. So I like to showcase that, because how many times have you been called a pedophile protector in the last couple months?
Oh, a lot. Oh yeah. Oh, a lot. I am the leader of the cult for Trump. I suck Trump's dick. You name it. I'm
Yeah,
protecting the pedophile king. It's just endless, and these
yeah.
people have no clue of what the fuck they're talking about.
No, if they actually read one page of the fucking files that Trump was in, they'd realize that it was a bunch of bullshit on that part. Now, Enrique, what chime in on this? What have you experienced recently as far as that whole thing? The pedophile protector shit. Does it not seem like the shit comes in waves? Like they just turn on a switch and they make them say and do something?
Look, I get it all the time, and I have, and like, for anybody who watches like our morning show or anything, I have very nuanced positions. I don't have, it's not black and white with me. I have very great. So I get the pedophile protector, and then I get the, oh, you're anti-Semitic, right? Like, when it comes to the president, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that the president's a pedophile, and then we're protecting him by supporting the president. Look, my loyalty is to the president, bro. Give him my life back, and
Right.
he did it on day one. I think his presidency, outside of that bias, I think his presidency has been a major success. Would I, as like a private citizen, like to see other things? Of course. You can't ask that to every citizen and be like, oh, are you satisfied with everything? No, you're never going to be satisfied with everything. The president has a job to do, right? And you can't get to everything every day. Like imagine your own job, Shane. You're an engineer. You put in hours on the day. When you get home, you gotta tend to the wife. You gotta tend to the kids. You gotta clean the house. Like even in your normal working class American citizen day, you still you're kind of busy to do things. Now the president of the United States is up at 4 o'clock in the morning, up until probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. Gets a little bit of sleep, gets this done, and they always hit you with the, oh well, he said it was a hoax. Yes, he
Hmm.
did. He
Yes.
did. And if you listen to his words and you listen to what is in context and what he's talking about, it's a Democratic hoax that he is part of the Epstein files. He never said, oh, these things are a complete hoax. No, everybody knows that they're real, right? We wouldn't be fighting to release these things. Pam Bondi lost her job for not really releasing them in time, and a whole bunch of other PR blunders. I was called that from the beginning. They called me anti-Trump for turning on Bondi so early, but I saw it coming. The president runs
I
a
agree
country
with you.
like a business, okay? I put you to do the job. I expect you to do the job. And if you don't do the job successfully, which most people don't, you're going to get fired, right? So I get called pedophile protector all the time. I wear it as a badge of honor, just like I wear my white supremacist badge of honor proudly, because it's all bullshit. It's all
It
bullshit.
is.
And look, say what you want. He's the president of the United States, and we didn't expect it to happen. We thought, oh my God, Biden stole the election. This guy's indicted 4 times. He's not supposed to be president.
Yeah.
No.
He's not supposed to be president. The powers that be, the entire force of the United States government, came down on this guy, and they called him, that's why they call him Teflon Don. He's beat all this shit. And he
Yep.
continues to beat them, and he will continue to beat them. Do I want to see, now, on the other side of do I want to see more from this administration? Abso-fucking-lutely. I want to see the arrests. That's on the DOJ. You know, I think Todd Blanche has done, I was very critical of Todd Blanche. I think he's done an incredible job in the 6 to 7 weeks that he's been AG. But I'm going to continue speaking truth to power, and I'm going to continue to push the president's agenda no matter what.
And I salute that because I agree with you 100%. Yes, I'd love to see Adam Schiff perp walk down the street right now. That would be so great.
Yeah.
And many others.
Yeah, of course.
So when you wake up, Shane, what motivates you to jump online and start triggering the libs?
Honestly, it's just in me now. It's just part of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a job in a sense, but it's not to me because a lot of people that reach out to me and stuff in the messages, they'll be like, man, thank you for sharing your story. Because it's not all the time politics with me, 95%. But, when I share my story, different things like that, and then to find out people got sober and got freed from things, that stuff drives me. If I'm able to help one person, thank God. You know what I mean? And I had a woman, she reached out to me and started following me and stuff. And she was like, Shane, if you're able to do all these things and all the shit you've been through, I know I can beat these Xanaxes. And she was on them for many, many, many years. And sure enough, she's got now 400 and something days freed from that shit. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that that drives me. I'm passionate about this movement. I'm passionate about people, guys like you that stand up and don't give a fuck and fight. We've got to be passionate about this or we're going to lose our fucking country.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. Let's get into the midterms. And Enrique and I, we have some different views on the outcome, and I understand where he's coming from.
I do not anymore.
Do you think you're seeing what I'm seeing, or is it just the redistricting alone that you're liking?
Hold up. If things would have remained the same without the Supreme Court precedent, right, of racial gerrymandering, we'd be screwed on the midterms.
We would. I agree 100%.
I think states like Florida, Virginia, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, kind of, but Brian Kemp looks like he's a rhino, and he
is today. Yes, he's pushing for it. Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
So I think the reason why we're going to win now is because of the South. Old Dixie.
Facts.
I think it's Old Dixie that's really pushing it. And I think a lot of people are seeing it, and that might help across the board. I think we're just going to be a little over our majority now, which is like absolutely nothing. I think it's like 1 or 2 seats right now.
Yeah, I say we go up 2 or 3, but I think the biggest thing is we're going to swap out a lot of fucking rhinos, which now we know we are.
Yes, that needs to happen.
Benny Thompson, gone.
Yep.
Bye. Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
She's a wicked
Bye.
one, man.
Ramen noodles is gone.
Yeah. Shane does a good job with lighting her ass up on a weekly basis. I love it because she's a piece of shit.
Ramen noodles.
She's right around the corner from me. While I was in prison, the guy that ran against her, his name is Chris Eddy, former FBI and intelligence, I believe, for the Air Force. Pretty decent dude. Pro J6er, wrote me a couple letters while I was in jail, but he didn't have a shot in hell just because of the power behind her and all the PAC money. But I still see that guy from time to time. He's a decent dude. I don't think he's going to run again, but he was definitely America First dude. He was one of those guys that was like ashamed of the FBI and what they've become. He's an older guy. His time with them was a while ago. So who do you think is the biggest problem in the Republican Party right now in Senate or Congress? Shane.
There's a few.
Yeah.
And they actually are media personalities. I think Candace Owens is a thorn. I think Tucker Carlson is a fucking thorn. You know, there's many of them that was pro Trump, even there during inauguration and all these different things. And then they just flipped on him. And he's pro Israel. He's pro Israel. And then you just find out the other day that Benjamin Netanyahu said that we're going to stop relying on American money for wars and different things or whatever. But that just got swept away. You don't even hear about it. But that's actually what he said during an interview. It's like these media talking heads are trying to systematically fuck this movement up. And I don't know really why. The only thing I can guess is money, financial gain, promises, blackmail. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was more focused on people like in Senate and Congress. I'm thinking like John Thune. I'm really hoping.
Oh,
that,
absolutely.
You know, that guy is a problem. You know, Cornyn as well. You know, I've seen you get on his ass. But Enrique,
Yes.
what do you think, man? Who do you think is the biggest problem right now in the Senate or
So,
Congress?
well, before I hit that, I want to touch on like some of the characters that Shane had said. Look, I have never liked Candace Owens. Like day one, I met her in 2017. I didn't like her when she was with
but
TV
you guys have that whole token thing where you don't like too many like conservative black
we
people
don't like
being
each
in
other.
the same room.
So
It's that, you know.
But I've never liked her because I think and I don't think it's money per se. It's just like the excitement of being a contrarian, right?
That makes sense.
And
Yes.
she's very good at it. You could enjoy being a divider, right? Sometimes we forget that some of these people, because we keep saying, maybe in Candace's case, maybe she's paid. I'll give you that. But we keep saying, oh, these people are paid, and like we forget, because we forget about like going through high school, that those retarded kids that we went to school with, that were like, oh, that guy's stupid, and antisocial. Like those people grow up and created a social media account. And like people now listen to them when in school they were ostracized. So those retards now have a voice. That's the bad part about social media, that we give people retards voices now instead of
Yes.
bullying them in the bathroom. Tucker Carlson, look, I've been a huge supporter of Tucker, and I've defended Tucker as of recent. I've just seen that like recently, like he's taking like these contradicting positions, and I still love Tucker. I just don't understand some of the views. And maybe like one day I get to see those views. But then to jump back into what Barry was saying, Republican members of Congress that are problematic. And look, you hit the nail on the head with the number one most problematic person. Because if the Trump administration, right, let's say he's done nothing. Let's say he's done no deportations. Let's say that like everything's bad. All his promises he never kept. But if the Trump administration, the only thing that they've done in the 4 years, this is in a parallel universe. If the only thing they do in the 4 years that they have power is pass the SAVE Act and pass voter ID, all of this would be worth it, right? That's how important voter ID is, because the main gripe that we have is Biden and his cronies took the American election system, how we run our republic. That was taken from us. That should be number one on the list. And if I say it again, if the only thing the Trump administration ever does in the 4 years is pass the SAVE Act, then it'll all be worth it. Thune is the number one person. He came out today and said, no, he's not nuking the filibuster in any way, shape, or form to pass this. And this is what the people want. And
Yes.
You've seen the numbers, you've seen the polling numbers, even by Democrats themselves, by African Americans, by white America, by Latinos. The numbers are staggering. The amount of
And he
people
claims we don't have the votes. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Thune would be one. We already got Pelosi pretty much out. And Benny Thompson. And that's just on a personal level. Like, I don't think Benny Thompson actually like does fucking anything.
No.
But just on a personal level, just to fucking teabag him in a game of Halo. Yeah, I'd fucking love Benny Thompson to lose his seat, which it looks like he's going to.
Yeah, that piece of shit really did a lot of shit talking during those J6 committee things, man.
Yeah.
I'll never forgive him for that shit. It was just ridiculous seeing all that crap go down.
You all went through a lot of hell, man. Can I ask you two a question? I've always wondered and wanted to ask you guys this. I just never thought I'd ever be afforded the opportunity to ask it.
Go right ahead.
How did you guys feel when you got sentenced, especially you, Enrique? I've been sentenced to 5 years in prison myself, back when I was in the streets doing stupid shit 26 years ago. But when they hammered you down with 22 years and bury you with 5, how did you feel knowing that you're under the Biden administration at this time? Nobody knows if President Trump's going to win. You know, like, how did that feel?
I'll go first because mine's quick. His is more in depth. I actually did assault.
I'm a smarter, more intelligent person than you.
He wasn't even there, so he gets way too much fucking credit and time for that matter. But
hey, it says it on the shirt, bro. Capital Raider.
Yeah, you know? I see that. Shout out to Bobby Pickles for making that shirt. Inside joke, but no, that's for real. So yeah, you know, for me, I did assault a police officer. I'm not going to justify my actions, but it didn't just start there. You know, that I watched them assault protesters first, and they, you know, I got into a scuffle with somebody that I had met that day, and whatever, I did what I did. So originally, they wanted me to sign a plea for 15 years. I took my shit to trial, and I beat the 2 most serious charges against me, which was my only goal. And at my sentencing, they were arguing for 9.5 years. So when the judge said 5, it was a breath of fresh air because I knew I was going to prison. Yeah. You know, so no matter what, I knew I was going. So for that, and I already had about 16 months in, it was I saw the light at the tunnel the minute she hit the gavel. So for me, it was a little relieving. But Enrique, who wasn't even there that day and gets all the fucking credit.
True. I can't lie about that. If I were to tell you, Shane, that I felt like one certain way, I'd lie to you. You know, like it's a roller coaster of emotions. And then just specifically on that day of sentencing, you know, we were in the J6 pod in DC, and you know, I was cracking jokes before I left and cracking jokes the night before. But I got in that van and I was shackled in 5-point shackles, which is what the would-be Trump assassin is bitching about. Wearing them for a couple hours, like fuck off. I wore them for a long time. You know white noise? You know, like white noise on the old TV sets? Mm-hmm. Can you picture feeling that? Like throughout your entire body? Like it's like this.
Yeah.
It was this dread while I was on my way over there because I was like, the government was asking for 33 years. We didn't know where we were going to sit. And I went ahead and I stood in front of the judge, you know, and I kept a straight face throughout that whole process. He sentenced me to 22 years. It was like I felt nothing. I walked out. I was walking out, and my family's in the pews, and I remember just throwing up the peace sign. You know.
Yeah.
I got back in the vehicle, and it was just like, this is not real. You know, you couldn't believe it, and I knew that there was a lot of people in that J6 pod that hadn't gotten sentenced. And I needed to make sure that people didn't see me and didn't see any weakness. So when I walked in, the door opened, I smiled, and I said, everybody's like kind of like coming at me, kind of like, you know, very serenely. And I smiled at them and I said, fuck you, high score, beat that motherfucker. Look, I was locked away. After that, I was locked away for about like a year, almost 2 year and actually like 2 years. I was locked away for 2 more years, and like it was a roller coaster of emotions. Some days I felt like I was going to get out. Some days I didn't. Some days I felt so hopeful that the president was going to win. I felt all the emotions in one.
Yeah,
And
I'm
the
sure.
intensity of all of them.
Yeah, when I was
How
in
did
prison,
you all learn that President Trump won and you knew you was coming home? Did the guards or family let you know on a phone call or anything like that?
I knew I was coming home the minute I saw him get up on. I was in prison at the time when the assassination attempt in Butler happened, and when
Yeah.
I seen him get up and say "fight, fight, fight," I knew
It was
for
it
sure.
was one.
I knew
Yeah.
he was. It was it. He was winning, and I didn't think I was going to get a pardon. I thought I would get commuted, and I thought that it was going to take some time. It wouldn't happen right away. But lo and behold, man, fucking full pardon the day he took office.
Damn
The minute
right.
he took office. My lawyer called me. I was in the halfway house. I had got out in the halfway house a couple months after that, and after the assassination and attempt. And yeah, my lawyer called me at 9:00 at night, and I was at the halfway house. She's like, "Yep, you're pardoned." I'm like, "For seriously, like pardon?" She's like, "Pardon, pardon. You're on the list. You're good."
That's amazing.
Fuck.
Yeah, I was so happy for you guys, man, when that happened. I knew it was one of the first things he was going to do
It
was
was
for
the
you guys.
first
Yep.
thing he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
So, about that, Shane, you made an interesting post the other day about sitting down with your daughter to talk to her about January 6th because you wanted her to remember, the truth. How did that conversation go? What'd that look like?
I was actually watching things, little snippets and different news clips and stuff on YouTube. And she was like, "Daddy, what is that?" I said, "Well, okay, honey, since you asked, I'm going to give you the real." And I explained to her what happened on January 6th. This is the day that President Trump was robbed. The election was stolen, and people, proud patriots, the proud boys, stood up and dared to do the right thing, and they got persecuted for it. And she said, "Well, what's persecuted?" And I explained it to her, and I said, "And all of them got locked up. We're talking grannies just walking around, getting sent to jail." And I'm explaining all this to her and stuff, and then I'm showing her images of you and Enrique, you know what I'm saying? And I'm showing her this, and I was like, these men was sentenced to decades in prison for just standing up for their country, as far as I'm fucking concerned. And we watched a documentary and stuff about it I found something on YouTube, and she was just really taken back by that. She just it bothered her, it troubled her.
Well, awesome that you took the initiative to do that because Enrique, I'm sure that you've seen that they're pushing in some districts across the country to teach January 6th in schools as the insurrection and the
Yes.
violent time that Trump tried to steal the election with his goons. They're trying to teach that in schools, public schools.
Mm-hmm.
I welcome it. They want to teach that January 6th was an insurrection. You're gonna get like dumb kids that believe it, but then you're gonna get the little rebellious kids that get on the internet and it's like you're gonna blow it so out of proportion, which is what they did on January 6th. Because look, like you said, you said, look, I shouldn't have put my hands on a cop, but these are the circumstances, right? If the Biden administration had come in and said and like arrested people for just like simple trespassing where they got to do like fucking 30 60 community hours for trespassing. If you touch a cop, whatever, do your 6 months in jail if you didn't injure him or whatever. If they would have done things like that, I don't think that President Trump would have pardoned us because the issue came in the propaganda machine by the Nancy Pelosi's of this world and said that this was some giant insurrection, that these are seditionists and they should be locked away for life. Yeah, look, if they want to keep making it like, I'd rather them not, but if they're gonna do it, they're gonna turn a lot of fucking kids into like little rebellious fucks and been like, yo, this wasn't an insurrection. And that's kind of how do you radicalize people because the left didn't Like the right didn't create the Proud Boys or Enrique Tarrio or Barry Ramey or Shane for that matter, right? The right didn't prop us up. It's the left demonizing us that other right wingers are like, okay, Nancy Pelosi says that these three dudes on this podcast are a bunch of insurrectionists. Let me check out what they got to say. And you're like, well, you know what? They sound like normal dudes. They're not spouting some extremist shit. Maybe I'm going to follow these guys. And they've given us this bullhorn. So thank you, Democrats, for doing this. So thank you. If you want to teach kids in school that January 6th was insurrection, they're either going to grow up retarded. They were going to do that anyways. Or they're going to wake up and see exactly what propagandas in schools are. So
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Is your daughter in public school?
Yes, but it is an amazing school. Like earlier years, my daughter kind of struggled with, she had some learning curves, she had to go through, and it really
Same
concerned
here.
us. And but when she got in here, and obviously we're hands-on parents, so but we're trying to help her. But she really gained her breakthrough at this school, and it's been phenomenal.
That's
She
good.
is,
That's a
yeah,
blessing.
she is blowing it out the water. So I'm very blessed and fortunate for that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Shane, man, I want to thank you for coming on and being here, man. I'm really happy to promote you and what you're up to, and just an average guy doing the right thing in life. You vote correctly, in my humble opinion, so that's good too. But where can people go to follow you? Say your Facebook out.
It's at Shane Morgan, my biological name.
There you go.
And then I also have a backup. It's MAGA Morgan. You can find me there. And then on X, it's MAGA Morgan as well.
Awesome. Yeah, the guy posts good content, man. If you're definitely pro MAGA and hate libtards just like me, it's a good dude to follow, and I highly recommend doing it. Enrique,
I
any last
follow him
words?
on there. I think on top of following, I think we're friends on there, right, Shane? Or
You
is it a
actually
follow?
accepted my friend request the
Yeah.
other day. I told
Yes.
Barry, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, Enrique
Yeah.
accepted my friend request. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I
he
was like,
doesn't do that
wow.
with everybody.
My
He
daughter, I
didn't
was
even
sitting on
accept
the
mine
couch
for a
when
year.
that happened, and I jumped up, and she was like, what's going on? I was like, Enrique accepted my friend request. I was just so pumped up. She was
Thank you,
tore
man.
up.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I really do.
no, it's an honor. You guys are
Yeah.
heroes in the movement, seriously.
Thank
And
you, Shane.
most of us average everyday MAGA people, man, we think that about you guys. I don't know
Thank
if you hear that enough, but you guys are, yeah, you're heroes for real, period. What they did to you is bullshit, but you all
I'd
stood
like
10 toes down.
I'd like to think that most red-blooded conservative Americans would have done what we did.
Damn
And
right.
most of them did. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't
There
know.
was
The same
16
group
there's-
can't show up to the fucking primaries and midterms. Just saying.
Yeah, I know. Get the fuck out and
Right.
vote. Like if we got out, Barry's gonna give me so much shit for this. If we got out and went to the Capitol to fight for America,
Damn
you
right.
could go out to vote. And hear those-
1776
Perfectly said. Perfectly
returns.
said.
Yeah, Barry's gonna go. Yeah, you weren't fucking there, you fucking pussy.
You know what? It's been said enough. But I would like to close out for the people that are watching right now. It's probably becoming a little, overbearing at this point. But guys, the midterms are for real. We can't go back to where we just came from. And
No.
I highly encourage, I know that I'm speaking to the choir. I'd assume that most people watching this right now know when their primary is, know when their midterm is, but that's not going to be enough. We need to get involved. If you can get one extra person that wouldn't get off their lazy ass, otherwise without your influence them. Get them to the polls. This, it's all hands on deck. I'm not trying to go back to anything close to what we just came from.
I agree. We can't go back. If they regain power, we're fucked. It's
Well, I'll
over.
tell you, yeah, and I think we'll be going back to prison. But I'll tell you
Yes.
right now, I'll tell you what, if you get out there every day and at least just trigger one liberal online, it'll be all that fucking better. So Shane, you do a really good job at that, man. Don't fucking change ever.
Never will.
At all, man. Because
Never will,
if
brothers.
you turn into a liberal, I'll have to unfriend you.
I would expect you to, but that will never happen. No.
Awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, get over on Facebook, follow Shane Morgan, the MAGA meme creator and LibTard Provocateur. We're sticking with that.
Amen.
Enrique, thanks for joining us, brother. Appreciate you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We will get through the uncertainty of a new administration in Washington. As I said, we've done this before. We've been to this. And
isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is.
When you condemn white supremacy, and he fuddled around, didn't say anything. I said, how about the Proud Boys? And he said, well,
Ronald Reagan was 2 months into his presidency when John Hinckley Jr. blew a $20 million.
About blowing up the White House.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look what happened